Hi, everyone. I'm excited to share with you a little bit about the book that I read for class. I read Spiritual Formation in Emerging Adulthood, and the subtitle is really important too. It's called A Practical Theology for College and Young Adult Ministry. When people ask me what my hobbies are, I usually tell them that I like to Google, which I know sounds really strange, but when I'm learning something or just reading, a lot of times I get sidetracked and I start looking and doing my own research and Googling things. And so before I even started reading this book, the first thing I did was I Googled the two authors. What I learned was that David Setron is a professor at Wheaton College, and I found some information about him on the Wheaton website. He has a background in biology, that's what his bachelor's degree is, but felt a call to ministry. Beyond that, his master's and doctorate were in educational ministries and history. On the website, it said that he was passionate about developing a vision for education that was true to the biblical witness and to the Christian worldview as a whole. He also had some experience while he was going through school working in a church at a college and young adult ministry. So he brings that background to the table besides his background in working in a college campus. Chris Kiesling is also a professor, and he's at Asbury Theological Seminary. Before teaching at Asbury, Kiesling was a pastor and an associate pastor in several different churches. He also had experience as a campus minister at several universities. Throughout the book, the personal and academic knowledge of these two men was very evident. The book referenced work from a lot of researchers that we've been hearing about in our own textbooks. I heard the names Erickson, Fowler, Kohlberg, Marcia, Parks, and Perry. There were also a lot of names that I recognized from my ministry studies, and a lot of you will recognize too. Some of the classics like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, John Calvin, and William Tyndale. There were also some more current names like Timothy Keller, Kara Powell, and David Kinnaman, who is head of the Barna Group. One more interesting connection is Stanton Jones. He was referenced in the book and is also out of Wheaton College, which is where one of the authors is from. You'll remember that we watched a video from Stanton Jones about gender and sexual identity. And the chapter on sexuality in this book is very much in line with the things that we heard in the Stanton Jones video. And for those of you who got a lot out of that video, this would be a great follow-up and would give you a lot of deeper information into that topic. As I searched the library for articles on this topic, I was surprised to find several reviews written on this book. Although the reviews offered some suggestions for improvements, they were overwhelmingly positive and had high praise to offer this book, and each author recommended this book very highly. The reviews were all written by men who are working in college settings, whether as professors or program directors. So if you want some more detailed information about the book or to see their reviews, those are available online. So with that groundwork of credibility laid, I want to tell you a little bit about the book. One of my favorite things about this book is that it is full of word pictures, and these word pictures just give us a better understanding of some of the ideas and concepts that the authors are trying to describe. So in that vein, I have my own word picture to describe this book, and I think it's a lot like a Brita water filter. Now, if you look on the back here, it even shows you what a Brita water filter does. It filters out some of the bad things that are in our water, and it adds in some things that are good for us. And really, I think that does a great job of picturing what this book does. It takes a lot of the content that we learned in the course this year, and it filters out some of the things that might be of worldly influence, that might be opposed to some of our Christian values. But not only does it filter those things out, it also adds in so many practical and important suggestions for those of us who are interested in the spiritual formation of a college-age student. More specifically, each chapter incorporated research and knowledge from a variety of sources and settings. In addition to those names that I talked about above, some of those researchers and well-known pastors, there's also a lot of stories of people from the Bible and relevant scriptures that are included throughout the entire book. There were a few times I got a little nervous when a certain viewpoint or author was brought up. There's some different ideas out there, but the authors did a fantastic job of raising these different viewpoints and then dissecting them a bit. Here's the positive, here's the negative on this side, and looking at the other side of the spectrum, here's the positive, here's the negative. And then beyond that, in several cases, they even went so far as to say, and here's where we fall, and this is what we think is best practice or where we land. And I really appreciated not only that they laid out the information for me so that I could make my own decision, but that they added their voice to the story so that I could make the best possible decision and have the best understanding. There are many possible applications for the content of this book in the college setting. As I'm working to develop college ministry in our church, this book is an invaluable tool. I've been looking at it and kind of thinking about it as a resource for developing curriculum. I could see this being used to develop a 6-week study over summer when a lot of our college students are home to discuss some of these different topics. And really, there's enough information in each chapter that each topic could be a 6-week study, and you could really dive into one of these areas more deeply. The chapters on vocation and relationships, in my opinion, would lend really well to a workshop or seminar type setting. And the chapter on mentoring would be a fantastic resource for developing a mentoring program for college students. And it would also be a really great tool for training those who would want to mentor college students. That was one of my favorite chapters. And again, all these ideas could transfer very well into the higher education setting or to a campus ministry outside of the church. With that in mind, I would recommend this book for several audiences. First and foremost, I think this would be a great book to be a required text for this class. The college student being offered here on a Christian campus, this would be a great book to help students filter through what they're learning through our textbooks, which are written from a secular viewpoint. I felt a lot of times like I had almost an unfair advantage in reading some of these chapters alongside our textbooks, as it gave me that filter and helped me really think biblically about what we were learning. Additionally, I come from the ministry studies program. This book would be a great fit in the ministry studies program to help those who are working in the church to know how to think about and how to connect and help spiritually form college-age students, and even just realizing the importance of this age and this time. As I mentioned, this book would also be great for those working in higher education and student services in a Christian environment or in a campus ministry. So, to finish up, I just wanted to share a few weeks ago, I was at a youth ministry conference with my husband, and it was in Florida, and our hotel was right on the ocean. And so I spent some time doing homework there, and I was out reading on the beach. And as the waves were rolling in, it made me think about the verse in Ephesians 4 about being tossed back and forth by the waves, and found where it was at and looked at the bigger context. And what it's talking about is unity and maturity in the body of Christ. And it talks about how Christ has given apostles and pastors and teachers to equip the saints for good works and to build them up into maturity and to build them in their faith so that they are not tossed around like an infant in the waves or just blown about by every wind of teaching. And as I watched those waves roll in, I realized that the waves of our world and of our culture are becoming much rougher, they're becoming much more unpredictable, and they're becoming just bigger. And the importance of having a tool like this that will help us know how to strengthen students, how to teach them, and how to strengthen them so that they can stand in the midst of those waves. Those waves are going to keep rolling in. And so what a great resource to be able to better understand how to connect with and form a healthy, whole, mature spirituality in the next generation. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope everyone has a great week.